welcome to another episode of Watch Roll Manila. I am Benjo, and with me we have Win, Jamie, and Hiram. Today's episode, we feature also not only watches, but this beautiful watch roll from Leather Crafts by Zippy. You may follow them on Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, so let's get started. So first, the reason why we chose the Panda dials for this episode is because of, in the modern age, the Panda dial has been one of the most sought after pieces. So in terms of watch collecting and even preference. So we thought of something that, to feature our top 6 when it comes to the Panda dial in terms of design, history, and wearability, I guess. Overall, if we're going to buy these watches, what are the considerations and how much are we willing to pay for it? I think it would be best to start with our favorite brand, which is Seiko.
Okay, what we have here is an SDGZ013. It's a 50th anniversary Seiko Brightz Panda. So this is a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the one we previously spoke about.
What I like about this model, this is, I think, titanium.
Correct.
It's very light and it's faithful to the original, which is the previous model that we featured. And they added a second sub-dial. So
It's also called the Wing King Panda.
And also, like what Hiram said kanina, the orange tip of the second hand, or the chrono, what do you call that? The chrono hand.
Mm-hmm.
I like the contrast of it. I believe this is powered by an 8R48 movement, which takes about 8 ticks per second, so it makes it a lot smoother. So it's nice to look at, because we all know we look at our watches a lot. And and the size, of course, perfect. And even the black detail pala on the crown.
Yeah, it's nice.
Something different.
We call it the Panda tail.
Oh, yeah, nice.
It has a 50th anniversary sticker at the case back. So we're looking at around current market value around 130 to 150,000 if you can find one. Because this piece is limited to 500 pieces and it was offered only to the Japanese market.
and that piece specifically appreciated greatly. I think it was
Mm.
came out at around 100,000.
Yes, 100, and then I'm sure it would never go back to that price because the Seiko market has grown like exponentially. So in terms of the ones looking for it, I think they would really have a hard time finding one. It's a 1973 heritage model.
Yes, it's a 1973 heritage model, and it's also limited to 1973 pieces. The uniqueness of its case design. It's not really common that you see this case design nowadays. So I just enjoyed seeing it, and the colors that they matched it with is perfect to me.
Yeah, and actually aside from what Jamie mentioned, the case, the brush finish of this case, if you look at it closely, it's really similar to the vintage model because it's very detailed. You can really see how it was done. I mean, I don't think if you will have this locally polished, you would never achieve this kind of finish. That's for sure. From the retail price of around 100, if you're lucky to get one at 80, then you're very lucky if you can find one. But nowadays, 80 is a good price. Anything above its retail is a good buy. Yeah, because you can find it anywhere.
Well, according to Watch Charts, it's sold for $1,716, so about 90,000 pesos.
Oh wow, yeah. So it's close to how much it was when it was offered when it was released in the market.
It retailed at 112,000 pesos.
Yeah.
And $2,100.
But I'm sure it will go back to the 112.
Yeah.
Because it's sold out.
Yeah.
So this piece was released during the 2021 Watch and Wonders, wherein they finally featured something different. So now the Black Bay Chrono has a Panda dial, and for me this it's a good move for the brand because for the longest time I think the Panda dials were seen during the big block or small block era. So now that we have it here, starting in 2021, I think it's a good move for Tudor to bring back those vintage or old designs.
Me, I like the dual sub dial because it really looks like a Panda. I guess the movement also, the MT5813 with 70 hours of power reserve, that's pretty good. And yeah, the hands are, you know, classic Tudor.
What really attracted me to this watch is actually the balance it gives off in the dial. Again, with the two sub dials, it's only left, right, and then the accent of red, one line of red text, and then it's also thinner than most Black Bay models, so they reduce the thickness of the case, which makes it more wearable too. Well, it's not really a problem for me since I have bigger wrists. Yeah, so overall the aesthetic and I guess I could say I'm happy with the performance of this watch.
What's nice about this, well, most of the Black Bay heritage pieces, they still incorporate a riveted type bracelet, which, you know, brings you back to the vintage days of the watch. In terms of market value, this piece goes for around 330 to 350, depending on the condition, brand new or pre-owned, because this is also very hard to find. You cannot just walk in and buy a Panda Chrono.
That's a good value, from 274 retail.
Yeah.
Went up to about 300.
Yep.
About
But then when it
300.
was released, since it has that Panda hype, it was going for around like 380, 400.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Right? So, but now, I think the prices have stabilized.
Is it usually the same for the black version, for example, you know, in other Panda
Well,
watches?
in my experience, the Panda dial always has higher value and demand,
Oh,
because, you know, it's similar to the Rolex Daytona.
yeah.
The black just follows the price of the white one. Okay, now we move to the next Swiss brand, which is also like very popular nowadays in terms of watch collecting. We have the Omega Speedmaster on Panda dial. This is actually the 2020 Tokyo Olympics edition, but since it's actually currently fitted on a JDM Beads of Rice bracelet, because, you know, this model was exclusively released in Japan. The 2020 Tokyo Olympics didn't happen, so this for me is like a watch that will commemorate that event. So for me, this one is also a must-have if you're planning to build a Panda collection.
We really like this one. This is my favorite out of all the Omega Speedmasters. I love watches with red touches on it. So having that red Speedmaster and the tip of the chrono hand is just beautiful. Because I believe you can buy this in a set of 5. They released it in a set of 5 in a special case, and I think it's about 55 pieces of that set. So imagine if you have all of those. Wow.
Yeah.
So currently the market value for this watch is around 580 to 600,000 pesos, which is a big increase from its suggested retail price of
268.
to 68,000 pesos.
So imagine if you got it. I remember walking in Tokyo and during 2019, going to each 80 or Tokyo boutique or Omega boutique, and I couldn't find any. So I think a lot of people bought it for that price. Of course, the Rolex Panda dial reference 116 500 LN. So this model came out in 2 versions, the black and the Panda dial. And for me, in terms of the market value, this one is like the benchmark for all the Rolex models. I mean, the price increase, the price hike actually with Rolex started with this model. And then of course, like, you know, the Paul Newman gold, the other white gold models, and of course John Mayer is a different story, but if we're talking about steel watches, this is the main driver for the price increase. So it features a ceramic bezel. In terms of its vintage counterpart, I think the Rolex Vintage Daytona reference 6263 would be a best reference to compare with because you know it has the same look. It has a black bezel insert and black subdials, white face. So for me, the reason why it's the hottest watch in the market nowadays, it's because of its wrist presence. Like even in this camera, you can see that this is a Panda. I mean, I have other sports watches, like for example, if you compare it with the Hawk, in other angles you will see it as like a regular Submariner, right? But for this one, and even with Pepsi or Batman, it's very hard to look at the watch. I mean, to identify the watch when it's like very far from me. But for this model, you can easily see that it's a Panda.
Comparing it to the older non-ceramic Daytonas, talagang the black ceramic bezel, you know, it's really something. Eh. Like you said, the wrist presence is there from afar. But you know, as a big F1 racing fan, you see Rolex all over the place. So I guess it also brings the racing heritage, you know, as Paul Newman used it before and all that. So that's what's one thing those are the things that I like about this Daytona.
This model actually, I agree with Win that this started the price hike. I think it retailed at 650.
650.
But after a few months, it was selling for 1 million.
1 million.
1 million 50. So for me personally, what I like about this specific model, even for smaller wrist, because I saw Heart Evangelista, she was sporting this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's the reason that my wife was asking for my Panda. I saw Heart wearing it, so why can I have it?
Yeah.
I just said no for no reason.
Imagine this piece being discontinued. I mean, if they can replace this one, but that's the thing with Rolex, they don't replace something that's almost perfect.
Yeah.
If they don't have something to update, if they don't have something, if they can't find anything to fix, they will not fix. So.
It's not the usual flat bezel that you would see in most chronographs that I've seen. Then also the single line of red text which says the Daytona text on the dial. It's like a really small hint of wonderful.
So how does this compare to the all black, the Congo? Am I correct? Congo?
Yeah,
Yes.
the black, I think the reason why the black isn't performing or selling that much as compared with the Panda is because of legibility. It's very hard to read the time.
Yeah.
The Daytona ever since has that issue. Specifically with the black dials, watch owners are complaining about you can't read the time and all. But you know, if you own a Daytona, I think it's the time. Sometimes the time is irrelevant.
Yeah, you just stare at
You
it.
just look at the watch and say it's a very nice.
You look
Maybe
at the watch,
click
then you
the
bring out
chrono.
your cell phone, then you
Yeah.
check the time.
Yeah, so given all the Pandas that we have, if price is not an issue, not considering the price, which one would you pick?
Start with you, John.
I think I might pick this, but to be honest, I'll probably pick the Speedmaster. Because I guess I've been a big fan of the Moonwatch format, the Omega Speedmaster, and the way it can pair with so many bracelets, so many straps is really appealing to me. It's like 100 watches in one.
That's a good point.
Me personally, I'd go with Johnny. I'd go with the Omega Speedmaster Panda. The Tokyo appeal, I think you can't replace that, considering the COVID and everything.
Right. This piece will be regarded as, not really like the COVID piece, but it's something. It's just to prove that things can happen. That we're not expecting. And this is actually a proof because when did the Tokyo Olympics happen? When 2021?
Yeah.
2021, right?
For me, I'm gonna go on a different route. Let me put this here. I will go with the Tissot. Because for me, I really like the design. I like how it looks and the value for money that you get out of it. You rarely see this in the wild. It's a very underrated brand, especially in Asia. I believe it's big in Europe. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Tissot.
I think the Daytona. Still with the Daytona. Mainly because I hated this watch for the longest time. And
I'm a witness to that.
yeah, I regret, you know, for me this piece, whenever I see one, I kept on justifying, why would I buy a watch so expensive that doesn't have a GMT function, a date, and just tells time. I mean, I can use my phone for that, but you know,
Once you have it.
yeah, once you own one, I don't think you will buy. You will stop buying a watch for like a minimum of 3 months.
That's on record.
So for me, price is irrelevant in terms of, you know, keeping this piece. So yeah, and then that made it my choice.
Okay, so thank you again for watching this episode. We would like to thank Leather Crafts by Zippy for lending us these beautiful watch rolls. Now, if you like our video, hit the thumbs up. If you'd like to find out more on our upcoming releases, you may click the subscribe button and the notification bell. See you!